Hello everyone, and welcome back to my page. I'm so glad that you could join me today. If you're new, I am just very happy that you were able to come across my page somehow. I want to do a book review today, and it's on a book that I have wanted to read for some time, and I recommend everyone reading this book. It's really a book that I think it's very dismantling as far as it undoes everything that you've pretty much learned in your life as far as history goes, and it leaves you with more questions than answers. But I will preface this video by saying, if you're not open to other points of view, as far as if you're not open to flat earth, or you're not open to the concept of hollow earth, if you're very closed off to these ideas, this book is not going to probably sway you, because you're just going to think it's out there and it's just absolutely crazy. But if you're at that point, it's an excellent book to read. And the book that I actually purchased, I bought this off of Amazon. It's a 2-book chronicle, so it actually has, the book is called The Smoky God, and this was an account by a Norwegian sailor. His name was Olaf Jansen, and the man, basically, based on this eyewitness account, he saw the inner Earth, what's beyond the North Pole, what's beyond that area that we are not, that the public is absolutely forbidden to go beyond. And he saw this, I think it was in the early 20th century, the early 1900s. And the man who wrote the book his last name was Emerson. He was an American. He was from the United States, but Olaf Jansen was a Norwegian. And so the account just talks about his what he witnessed, what he saw. I think the reason why he was interviewed was because this man he seemed to be very familiar with the Antarctic region. I mean, if you're a sailor, you know certain routes, you know how the currents flow, you just know that geographic area really well. And so he gives a very detailed account on what he saw, and I don't want to spoil the book for people who want to read it and have not read it yet, but it's out there. I mean, he basically talks about what the Bible, the book of Genesis, the Garden of Eden. He believes that the Garden of Eden was inside this inner continent that's literally, I guess you could say, below us. It's within the earth. It's the inner continent, and it's this perfect temperate, subtropical region, I guess you could say. And the temperature, everything, just the way people live. I think he even said he said he had never felt better than when he was in this region. He said that it came down to, I guess, the electrical makeup of the atmosphere. And it's just very, it's very mind-bending. I mean, if you're not used to this type of stuff, if we learn all this stuff in school, and it's just dismantling to all of that. And at the end of the day, I mean, you have a choice to make, of course, just like you do with anything else. Is this man crazy? Was he just some, mentally disturbed sailor from Norway, or did he really have something there? So his story is part of this book. And then there's also this man may be more popular to people, but his name is Admiral Richard Byrd, and he was in the U.S. Navy, and he conducted 5 expeditions to Antarctica, I think. Yeah, he did that between the years of 1928 and 1950, I believe. And it was to, there are various reasons. One of those I read was to basically conduct experiments on the aircraft and how do the aircraft respond in, I guess, extreme temperatures and in regions that aren't, you're just dealing with extreme temperatures and everything. So it was that, and it was also to train for training reasons, for training personnel for the Navy. So he has a lot of very interesting observations as well, and his testimony, or his eyewitness, it's set up a little differently because he actually marks it down based on the date, and he has just very quick descriptions of what he saw. And it's very eye-opening because both of these gentlemen describe seeing this superhuman advanced race of beings. And I can't remember if it was Jansen or Byrd, but they said that there was a very delicate look to their faces, and there was something very it's just like this superhuman type of race. And I find that really interesting because for those of you who aren't familiar, NASA is not being upfront with us. They are not honest at all whatsoever. And they have been spewing propaganda to us for probably about 70 years now. It's no coincidence that NASA was founded in 1958. And then in 1959, you have the Antarctic Treaty. So, could it be more obvious to people that not only are they hiding something from Antarctica to keep the average person away, but they are spewing these lies. And they say that, these aliens are from other planets. These aliens are, they want us looking, that's what it is. They want us looking up, up into the heavens and up, but I guess what these men are saying is, there's so much going on beneath us. And for some people, that's a lot to swallow. They might be like, what are you talking about right now? But that's what these eyewitness accounts are saying. That, Admiral Byrd said that he saw a landmass beyond Antarctica. He saw beyond the ice wall, beyond, the area that we are permitted to see or to go to, which is not very much. He said that it was a landmass. I think he said it was about the size of the United States. I don't know if it was the United States or if it was North America, but he said that there's quite a bit of land beyond the ice wall, beyond what we are allowed to go to. And so that's kind of where the direction that he went off into. Jansen believes that, there's a whole other world below us, within the Earth's core. And I don't know, I can't remember what he said, how far into the Earth's core, but the way he described it, it kind of sounded like, I'm not a sciencey type of person, so bear with me. I'm trying my best to describe what he said, but it's almost like the Earth has magnetic currents that flow, and this affects the tides, this affects the ocean, and how everything flows. And it's kind of like you have an opening in both the South Pole in Antarctica, and then you have one in the North Pole as well. And this is kind of that entryway, that channel that leads into that inner Earth. And if you were to he compares the Earth being like, kind of, I guess, like an eggshell, where you would take the contents of the egg, remove the contents inside, and the hollow part inside would be that other world, that inner continent, that inner core that he talks about. And so it's really interesting because he actually described, he was in an Eden type of place in there. And he believes that this is that Garden of Eden type of place where you have, I think he said it's surrounded by mountains. And he said it's just this plateau with, it's mountains all around, it's a plateau, and then you have vegetation that is just, it's just just very lush and abundant, and it just grows without any effort. Basically, that's how he described the vegetation of this area. And he said that, like I said earlier, the chemical or electrical makeup of the area was different than what was outside, to get into this place. And he talked about the light also, which is what gives it that book the title, The Smoky God. He said that there is a hazy, dark reddish colored sun, but kind of like a hazy, dimmed type of sun or light source inside of this place. And I find it interesting. You think about all these other civilizations and how so many of them place so much importance on the sun. The sun was a major, there's so much idolatry, surrounding the sun. So many civilizations, they thought the sun was the center of everything. And it makes you wonder, okay, if they were inside of the earth, I know it sounds crazy, and they were seeing kind of that outside source of what we see, the actual sun. Maybe that's what they saw it as, kind of like godlike. They were trying to reach that, this ethereal, this light source that they were not used to, and that's what led to, this the worship of that of the sun like that. So it's really interesting. So I want to examine some scripture verses with you that talk about the north. And if there's someone watching this video that has a better understanding of what the north could possibly mean, other than what I'm about to share with you, I would love to see an alternative explanation. But here it goes. Job 26:7. He stretches out the north over empty space and hangs the earth on nothing. Job 37:22. Out of the north comes golden splendor. Around God is awesome majesty. Isaiah 14:13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, in the sides of the north. Ezekiel 1:4. As I looked, behold, a storm wind was coming from the north, a great cloud with fire flashing forth continually, and a bright light around it, and in its midst something like glowing metal in the midst of the fire. Was Ezekiel's mysterious vision of God preceded by some northern lights coming from the north? Psalm 48:1-2. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, on the sides of the north, the city of the great King. Okay, so the north, the sides of the north, the city of the north, coming from the north. This is it's pretty eye-opening, and this is in the book of Job. So I would be very interested if someone, if they had an alternative explanation of what the north could possibly mean, because it's kind of just laid out here, and I don't know, it's very interesting. Let's see, we also have in the book of Exodus 24, it says, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Okay? So, just let those scripture verses sit with you, and really, it's just it's very eye-opening. And what I would love to do in the future is I would love to study the book of Enoch. I would love to look at some of these apocryphal texts. And, again, we understand that the apocryphal texts, they're not part of the canon, but it would be very interesting to see what exactly is described in these apocryphal books, because it might really start to piece together things that we've glossed over, or things that we have not understood in the past. So I just find that just fascinating, very interesting. I wanted to say earlier, these superhuman type of extraterrestrials that these men saw, I think it was Byrd. He said he actually saw, I don't want to say the word because I know YouTube, they censor and they might see this as a hate speech, or, I don't know if it's one of their policies. But the Nazi symbol, he actually saw this symbol all over the aircraft with these extraterrestrials. And so that symbol has a deeper meaning. So, it's really, it's eye-opening, because that is exactly what, it really shows you now probably who Hitler was really getting his ideology from. He was getting it from these extraterrestrial races. I mean, he was probably, if he was involved in the occult, which I have read in the past, he was probably channeling these beings, and that's where his extremely evil, ideology was coming from. So that kind of is a segue into my next point that I want to make here. Are we talking, when we talk about these extraterrestrial races, are they Nephilim, or are they more just demonic deceivers? And it's really, it's hard. That's where you really have to use your discernment when you're trying to sift through this information, because a problem that I have with this account, and I do believe that what he saw, I do believe the man. I don't think he was crazy, but it's kind of like, okay, he was unharmed throughout this whole thing, and why was he given access to this? Because if these beings were benevolent, wouldn't he have, it just, I don't know, it really is kind of suspicious that he just went in and did all of this stuff. He saw all this stuff and he left unharmed, and there was nothing. I don't know. I just find it kind of odd. It's almost like he went and then now he's coming back to spread. You always have to be cognizant of that. Is this just a deception that's being brought back, and just enough to confuse people and to take people away from the truth? And again, neither one of these men saw Jesus Christ. They never saw anything, nothing that would resemble the Christian God. In fact, Jansen, he had a very, he was from Norway, so his ideology was Norse mythology. So he believed in, I know Thor was one of the gods that he believed in. And so, his lens, he interpreted all of this through that lens. And so there was nothing whatsoever about Jesus Christ, none of that. But I think what we can, as believers, what we can take away from this is he strongly believes that this was the pre-flood world. So, he described this Eden type of place, where it was, the perfect atmosphere, perfect place. So it's really interesting. And the last point that I want to bring up, and this seems to be, I've seen this a little bit in the little season camp of people who, they tend to believe that they think that possibly that the camp of the saints is at the North Pole, that Mount Zion, which is described in the book of Revelation, they believe that Mount Zion is already there. It's being hidden from the world. We cannot see it. And that Jesus is there. He's the resurrected saints are there because they believe all of that's happened. And they just believe that it's being hidden from the rest of the world. And so, that's really interesting, but why, I guess my question is, they saw these creatures or these entities, and they were huge. These people, I don't know what you want to call them, aliens, I guess, but they towered over the average person. A tall person, they were just so much taller than what we are. And I just find that odd, when there are descriptions about this type of thing. But then I want to go back to a video that I made. It was a few videos back, where I was reading some writings from the Middle Ages, the Reddit post. And they were talking about these writings that described the city to the north and the camp of the saints. They described all of these things. So it's really tough. I mean, it's tough investigating all of this stuff, because you're finding a lot of information that sometimes it appears to contradict. And I guess, I really do feel like the next few years are going to be very interesting as far as things being revealed to us, because, God does reveal things, I think, in his own time. And, we're thinking, well, gosh, it's been 70 years since NASA was formed, and we've all been, we all grew up with the planet chart, learning all the planets and how the very, the heliocentric model of the universe, where, you have the sun and then you have all the planets. We've been programmed. We've learned things a certain way going through school, and then you come across this information, and it's just like, you just get to a point where it's like, who are we? Like, what are we? You just realize how much of your life you've been living under an illusion, or just flat out lies, things that just aren't true. And so, it's just like anything else. We just really have to be discerning when we sift through this information, and just realize that, I think God will reveal things, when it's time to reveal them. So what I will do is I will link this book. I want to make sure there's nothing else in here that I wanted to mention, because I don't want to give away the whole book to those of you who do want to read this, because it's eye-opening. And I just did a quick Google search. I didn't really find a whole lot, but they said that there are other eyewitness accounts of both Antarctica and the North Pole, just various accounts. I don't know who these people are specifically. That's where you have to be careful with what the resources you're finding. But it's just really interesting, because they are obviously hiding something from us at the North Pole. It's just so obvious at this point. And you think about, maybe this is something I'll do in a future video, but you also think of our oceans, and you think about how we don't know anything about our oceans. Our oceans are a huge mystery as far as what we know is down there, and what, we don't know anything about that. But they want us going to space. They want us going to these far off galaxies and planets and stuff. And many of us are waking up to the fact that we probably did not go to the moon as we previously believed. So, it's just waking up from the lies. It's waking up from all of this, just one big illusion, and realizing that, okay, I have to, just realize that there is an enemy out there, and he has fooled the world for so long. And if Jesus Christ or the Christian God is not in something, it doesn't mean that we have to, do away with it completely, because I think that we can get some pre-flood information from that. I think the book of Enoch, for example, things like that, it would be good to just see just general historical, events, as far as, things that having us look at things from a different perspective that we just did not know about previously. And there really was a reason why they took those books out. I don't care what anyone says. There is a reason why they don't want us knowing certain things. They just don't. But you really have to come back to Jesus Christ. Now, if something's, if he's not in something at all whatsoever, it's time to really test. It says test the spirits. So anyway, I just wanted to bring up this book, because I think it's a book that, if you're open to truth, if you're open to just these other theories that are out there, as far as flat Earth goes, I'm one of those people where yeah, the world could be flat. Yeah, the world could be round, but why does it really matter? Because, I mean, we'll never know. We'll never know. And I think that it's honestly a distraction from the enemy, you know, he wants us, it's wherever we're not looking to where things are, where it's happening, where the action is. You know, he wants us looking in a completely different direction. You know, something that's just not, it's totally inconsequential to, you know, he just really wants us looking in a completely different direction usually. So anyway, I probably made this longer than I meant to, but it's a really good book, and I will link this for you in the description below. And I think for my next video, I'm going to do a subject that is kind of related to this. It's a little bit more, I guess, more mainstream conspiracy theory type of thing. But I wanted to just get this book out there and just my opinion on it. So you all take care. I hope you're having a great summer where you are. If you're not having summer right now, I hope you're having a great season where you are. And I hope you take care. God bless.